I felt anxious, I felt ready, and kind of disappointed at an unexpected delay that came up. Hey, Survivor! Welcome to episode 122 of the Vibrant Survivor podcast. Have you ever had to face a narcissist in court? Watch them smirk, whisper, and manipulate while the system moves at what seems like a snail's pace? This week I saw this play out in court. More importantly, I want to equip you with 4 powerful ways to stay mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually strong when justice feels delayed, the narcissist is enabled, and you're left holding the bag of truth. Before we dive in, let's self-regulate with a 4-4-8 breathing exercise, if you'd like. And I invite you to close your eyes if you feel safe doing so, and we'll inhale for 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 8. Ready? Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How does it feel to center yourself in community? Grab your notebook and pen, and let's dig in.
Hey, Survivor. Welcome to the Vibrant Survivor podcast. Do you want to disconnect from a narcissistic or toxic situation and heal? Are you Googling how to identify a narcissist, narcissistic abuse, and boundaries? Are you feeling stressed and lonely while trying to avoid being sucked back in and lied to again? Hey, I'm Lesley. As a busy wife and mom, I fell for the lies and manipulations of narcissists. I wasted my time, talents, and money on users who kept moving the goalposts. I wanted real relationships and business opportunities and to enjoy life with my family. Instead, I struggled with anxiety, panic attacks, and insomnia, and I couldn't trust my body or anybody until I took a holistic approach to healing. In this podcast, you'll find tips for healthy living, trauma healing, and boundaries so that you'll have the freedom, confidence, and inner peace to respond, not react, after narcissistic abuse. Take a deep breath in, let it out slowly, and just relax. This time's for you.
This week I had a couple of courtroom experiences that I wanted to share with you. One was the juvenile arson case where I watched a victim struggle with the juveniles and his defense team's posturing, whispering, note passing, smirking, and at one point one of the members of the defense team actually fist bumped the juvenile when the defense attorney was interrogating an expert witness. Yeah, that happened. And I realized through this how narcissistic and toxic individuals and their enablers can create an illusion of control that can make you feel some kind of way, and how important it is to mentally disconnect from the dysfunction. Another hearing was the alleged murderer's pretrial hearing, where I felt anxious, I felt ready, and kind of disappointed at an unexpected delay that came up, and it was just a lot of feelings. He wasn't even there. His appearance was waived, but sometimes the delays that incur injustice can feel disempowering, but they don't necessarily define the ultimate outcome. And with that, here are 4 ways to stay strong when facing a narcissist in court, even when justice is delayed. Number 1, understand the narcissist's courtroom games. Definitely, this was apparent in the juvenile arson case where the victim got a little frustrated by the smirking, the whispering, and at one point there was kind of this staged agreement with the judge about the release terms and conditions. And I'll admit I was kind of feeling it too, but I saw it for what it was, and I was really trying to support, encourage, and remind the victim to not, let it get to them. And at the end of the day, this is posturing. It's the narcissist's way of making you feel powerless and to make themselves feel like they're winning. And it can be challenging to watch, especially when you've already been traumatized. And one way to respond is to not engage, not react, and not let them see your frustration, because that will feed the beast, and you don't want to do that. Instead, you can keep your focus locked in on the judge and not the narcissist or their enablers or team. And you can also let your attorney or your advocate handle any objections that may come up during the hearing. Thirdly, you can stick to the facts, not feelings. And it's so hard because there is a personal or emotional component to a lot of this. But in the context of a hearing, what I've learned is that it's all about the delivery of your message and how that comes across. And if there's a lot of emotion behind it, or outward expressions of frustration or other feelings, it can hinder the ability to get your message across in a way that can be heard, especially by the key people that need to hear it, like a judge. Number 2, master the art of silent strength. I learned a lot through the alleged murderer's pretrial hearing this time around. I will admit I felt uneasy, for example, when I ran into someone connected to the case who I had not seen in a few years, and felt a little uncomfortable and had no interest in engaging. So I had to navigate that situation, and that came up after the hearing was concluded and I got up to leave. And the other thing that came up was the narcissist's appearance was waived at the court hearing, and even though he was absent, it didn't change the emotional weight of facing this process, especially after the drama that happened at the last hearing, which I shared in a previous episode. So when these awkward or uncomfortable moments come up, or just moments of tension or just emotional heaviness, some of the things that you can do in response are to stay composed, even when justice is delayed or seems like it's being delayed, and to not engage with any enablers. And, sometimes, depending on the circumstances, their reactions or a look or just their presence even can throw you off. And it's important that you disconnect or create enough space to where you don't allow it to get to you. And know that the judge doesn't want to hear certain things. I've learned this through a lot of these hearings, that there's certain things that judges don't want to hear in the context of these hearings. For example, arguing, whether it's with the judge or debating with them about a piece of information or something that you share or that you want to convey to them, say through an impact statement or reporting something or revealing something that's happening, like say a breach of no contact, or arguments with the defense. They don't want to see you or hear you arguing or making comments to the other side. Another thing that I've learned through these hearings and just talking with different individuals, like some of the attorneys, is the word narcissist. I have learned that in a courtroom context, unless you are a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist, really the word narcissist is not really looked upon favorably. Isn't that interesting? And with that, it's important to stick to the facts, and you can even establish that there is maybe a pattern of behavior that's been taking place over time without the labels, just to cover your bases. And then another thing that doesn't really go over well, or that judges often don't want to hear, that I've learned, are emotional outbursts. And it could be in response to something that the judge says, or maybe their failure to respond or act on something that maybe you've brought to their attention. It can be easy to want to be like, but judge, well, but let me just say one thing, like when they're ready to move on or they're trying to kind of establish boundaries or establish themselves as the authority in the courtroom and the person who has the final say, emotional outbursts are not really looked upon favorably. So something to keep in mind. The takeaway here and something to keep in mind is just that silent strength can oftentimes speak louder than reactive words or gestures or, demeanor. Number 3, control what you can when the system feels slow, and it will feel slow often. And with both of these hearings from this week and even others that I've attended, a lot of times justice is slow, but your healing doesn't have to be. In fact, your healing starts with you, and that's something that you have control over. So when hearings are delayed, it can feel like, the narcissistic or toxic individual has more time to manipulate the courtroom, manipulate the judge, try to put you in a bad light or trigger or push your buttons. But you also gain time to mentally prepare for the outcome. It's how you use it that matters. So some ways to prepare yourself before court would be to do things like practice deep breathing the night before, kind of like the breathing exercise that we do on the podcast every week. And another thing that you can do is to select and lay out clothing or an outfit that makes you feel comfortable, confident, and secure, and look amazing. Or maybe that's a color that means something to you, that lights you up, that flatters you, or that has a significance where your case is concerned, like a favorite color of a victim. You can also eat a healthy meal and nourish your body with real foods to stabilize your blood sugar and prevent, crashes or sugar spikes. And you can prepare your notes for an impact statement, for example, or if you're given the opportunity to bring something to the judge's attention or share something with the court so that you can deliver your message clearly and confidently and succinctly. Time is precious in situations like that, and you have a right to be heard, and you should be. Now, during court, you can keep your notes short and to the point, keep your body language and delivery neutral, like don't show any kind of frustration or agitation, and the self-regulation that we do, say, for example, with the breathing exercise, can help you to accomplish that. Also having a great support team around you. And you can also visualize yourself walking out of the courtroom with dignity, regardless of the outcome, knowing that you did your best, you stood 10 toes down, you spoke your truth, you presented something that needed to be shared or exposed. You don't have to trust or rely on the system. You can trust yourself to be able to successfully navigate the system. Number 4, reclaim your power outside the courtroom. Even though I didn't face the alleged murderer in the hearing this week, I prepared myself to, and I'm so glad that I did, because I was pleasantly surprised and relieved, actually, at the outcome. And the preparation that I did make really empowered me. I felt really good going in there, and I felt ready, but I definitely felt relieved and pleasantly surprised that I didn't have to face any kind of triggers or anything like that. You don't need a conviction in a hearing in order to claim your healing. That's something else to keep in mind. And that can be very empowering because your well-being is not dependent on an outcome. That's yours to control. And healing doesn't come from a judge's ruling. It comes from how you choose to move forward. There may be surprises, twists, turns. A lot of times, especially when you're dealing with juvenile cases, it can seem unjust, but how you choose to respond regardless of the outcome and how you choose to move forward and take your next best step, whatever that is, if it's litigation or something else, or moving on to the retribution part of the case, that can make all the difference. So some of the things that you can do are to find ways to release stress after court. You can journal your thoughts about it for clarity. That may help you to gain some insights on your next best step, depending on what the outcome was and how you felt about it. You can also talk to a trusted friend or therapist. That can be a huge help in processing your feelings, and in conjunction with some other things, it can really help to round out your healing process after the hearing. And then you can do something physical like go for a walk. Outside's even better. Go for a workout. Do some gardening. Walk your dog if you have one, in order to get some fresh air, some time outside if you can, process your emotions, and gain some perspective. And then you can also focus on what's next, not what's wrong or what's missing, or when you talk about the system, what's broken. And justice may be delayed or feel like it's being delayed, but at the end of the day, your peace does not have to be delayed. So, when it's all said and done, you may not control the timeline of justice, but you do control how you walk through it. Keep your peace, protect your energy, and never doubt the power of truth. Remember, the narcissist may sneer or fail to appear, but when you stand your ground, it's you they fear. Thanks for tuning in, Survivor. You are stronger than you know, and no matter how slowly the system moves, never forget that you are already free. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, Survivor. Do you want to heal after narcissistic abuse? Come and join me in a closure coaching session. This is a 1-hour, one-on-one coaching call that's going to help you disconnect from dysfunction, create your own closure, and begin a long-lasting journey of healing, step by step. Head right now to closurecoachingsession.com. If this podcast has helped you understand who and what you're dealing with, sharpen your discernment, and move forward on your healing journey, share it with another survivor. Help me help others by leaving a review for the show. And let's connect on social. Take a screenshot, share it in your IG stories, find and tag me at The Vibrant Survivor, and I'll share your post too. I look forward to connecting with you on IG and seeing you back here. You're not alone and you're not crazy. Know who you're dealing with, know who you are. Take care, and I'll meet you back here next week. Bye-bye.